This is chapter 4 with my offering of my evolution as a musician. Really, it comes down also to my evolution as a person. So maybe it'll be TMI. I hope not. I do have a point as far as where I'm going with this. So I mentioned that I started playing guitar thanks to my sister, and I played through high school and started finding out what it was like to handle some equipment and all that. It was interesting because I was with a band. I mean, folks, we were 18 years old, and we were performing. My little band was performing, and some guy came up and said, "I'd like to work out a deal with you." Well, this is one of the first lessons: is be careful who's offering what. These packages can have bombs inside of them. But anyway, we never went anywhere with it. We weren't that organized. But we were having fun, and I think that's a part of it. Every time I go out to play an open mic, my wife says, "Go have some fun." And yes, I do have fun. That's only part of the objective. So I go to college, and I start to meet a couple of other musicians. My first roommate, a really nice guy, Ted Goldman, excellent musician. I have only realized this over time with Ted. He can play almost anything, but at any rate, we started fooling around. I went to Washington College on the Eastern Shore, and they had this place called the Moss Box, which was essentially a coffee house. This was a phenomenon back in the 60s. Coffee houses were a phenomenon back in the 60s. They're like the open mics of today, only without amps. And people generally came to hear the music, or to hear poetry, or to listen to somebody read a book. So I started working with Ted there, and found out that I might have a bit of a voice, which was a pleasant discovery. And then I joined up with friends, Bill Ingham, who's an excellent guitarist, dear friend of mine still, Tom Hodson, a guy named Jimmy Bell, who was a bass player who sadly died in a training flight accident when he was in the Navy. Ted was with us in and out. We had a woman named Sharon Stump. But in any case, we evolved, started out doing folk, which was me and Tom and Bill, moved to electric, and then it was me, Bill, and Sharon. It was interesting to go through these things, went back to folk. One of the things I knew, and I'm trying to make it a point to keep this personal, is that one, I really enjoyed being part of a group. And because we could play off of each other, we could develop songs, we cultivated our interests as far as what we like to play and sing. I was very comfortable being the front man. Nobody else wanted to do it, so I did it. So I was a good singer. I wasn't much for playing. I realized I found myself sort of freezing up when I would be asked to play. Rhythm was fine. A couple of times I did very small lead things. Made me inordinately nervous to do that. And this is something that is important in terms of coming to terms with your experience. And that is what you feel comfortable doing, how you're willing to stretch yourself. This has been a real lesson for me, especially recently, since I've returned to playing music again. So I finished college, and then life intervened. I didn't play music again seriously until about maybe 4 years ago. And we're talking a hiatus of some 30 odd years. One thing I did do is I protected my hearing. And I did that by wherever I worked, and I was in the trades. I worked as a carpenter, I worked as a cabinet maker, I worked in a mill where we made doors and things like that. Huge equipment, lots of noise. I always wore hearing protectors, and I caught some grief about it. And the upshot of it all is that I think I still have about 85% of my hearing. And at 78, that's really good. So, and part of it too is I kept listening to music. Never stop cultivating your ear as far as what you like to hear, what you might like to do. And I kept doing that. And so going into my third marriage, there's more to that, but if you're really interested, I can talk about that. But anyway, I married someone who wanted me to develop myself, to find what I like to do, what I love to do, and cultivate it. And that just really, I don't want to say set me loose, it opened the door for me to find my way to playing again. So the last concert I was ever in was in 1981. So here we are, 45 years later, about 7 years, maybe 8 years of lessons with Joe Weaver. And now I am sort of established in the open mic community, still finding my way and enjoying being with people, other people who are still finding their way. I'm not a great guitarist. I'll probably never be a great guitarist, but I can be a better guitarist. Part of the adventure, part of the challenge, part of the fear is to play by myself with my instrument and believe that I'm accompanying myself effectively enough to be able to do justice to the song. And that's always my point. I want to do justice to the song. Somebody has put their heart and soul into putting these songs together, and they deserve a fair treatment. And that's my pursuit. So the greatest compliment I receive is when somebody says, you know, that really touched me, or you did real well on that, Gil. I could hear it. That is the highest compliment that I can have. I'll probably never have great numbers of people giving me accolades. This is a limitation that I'm starting to understand with regard to what I'm doing. I'm really old going into this process. That's all right. I'm going to go as far as I can go with it and still be able to pay attention to what my responsibilities are. But I would say those are the lessons I came out with to get to this point, and that is watch my hearing, make sure I protect that, and listen to what I like. Not everything you hear that you like, you're going to be able to play. I've turned down or thrown out songs that I really like, but I couldn't do them justice. So I think I've developed a pretty strong repertoire. I use an iPad with the Songbook Pro app on it. I have about 240 songs in there. Can play them, but some better than others, and that's what I keep working on. So that's where I am right now as far as what I do that puts me out in the public eye. I can talk more about recording. I'd be happy to do that. I believe that you all are smart enough to figure that out. There are lots of videos about how I use Ableton as a recording system. Tons of videos out there about how to use Ableton. Now, there are some details involved with Ableton. If there's something you're snagged on, I could probably help you. I think maybe next time I'm thinking about talking about my mixer and about mixers in general. I think it's helpful to know what a mixer does and to know what you want when you're playing out. So I'll leave it at there. It's really very much a snapshot of a long story, but in any case, I look forward to seeing what you might have to say, and I'll get back to you in a little bit. Thanks.